Hello, welcome back. I'm Richard Hasnote, and I'm your host for the Wisdom Inspired Life podcast and this YouTube channel. This begins a new series. As I work on the episodes, I get ideas of things that are working well and see some opportunities to maybe help a little bit more. And in this particular case, it's helping to understand exactly what is a wisdom-inspired life. Since everything is around those three words, what in heaven's name does that mean? Well, I'm going to attempt to clarify that over the next several episodes. So, with that said, a reminder of what the mission is for this particular YouTube channel, to inspire people worldwide. And we're already on a good start with that, with the Wisdom Inspired Life podcast, with listeners in over 70 countries. Inspire people worldwide to be highly caring and compassionate. Okay, we've got a whole series on caring and compassion, while achieving dramatically higher levels of personal happiness. Because when you're caring and compassionate and you help others and focus on helping others, you are happier than when you just focus selfishly on your own. And at some later point in this series, I'll be doing some key excerpts from my book, Ultimate Happiness, the best of Eastern and Western proven ways to be happier today. And part of that is people who are caring and compassionate are happier than people that only care about themselves, okay? So that's the mission for this. Doing all this because God knows we face a lot of challenges in the world. We've got separateness on all kinds of dimensions, unfortunately. Social, political, racial, economic, religious. It really is a mess. We've been worse off, I guess, maybe. But this is pretty trying times, especially if you're in America, but even worldwide with COVID-19 having done everything that it has done. And a lot of this separateness has also turned intensely negative at times, including to violence. So the challenges we face are many and real. The needs we have are needs for cooperation and collaboration to take care of our home. Our home is planet Earth. Now, despite what Elon Musk, who I have the world's greatest admiration for, who wants to set up colonies on Mars. At the moment, and in my opinion for the foreseeable future, our home is planet Earth, where we have major needs, everything from climate change to sustainability, and among others that we have. And if we could only be more caring and compassionate towards our broader world in which we live and to each other, it's probably the best way to deal with these challenges and needs that we have. Okay. In trying to define what a wisdom-inspired life is, I kind of broke it down into these 5 key headlines, and I'm going to be having an episode addressing each of these individually. So this particular one starts with, how do you go about developing wisdom by study and practice? I mean, if you're going to live a wisdom-inspired life, wouldn't it be nice if you had some wisdom? One would think. So let's get started. Some of this we've covered a little bit in the past, but I'm going to build on it. Developing wisdom, in my experience, and everything I share with you in this is from the perspective of my experience in attempting to live a wisdom-inspired life, is what I share with you here, what I'm familiar with and what I know. I want to be very careful in saying that that doesn't mean that there aren't other sources. This is what I'm familiar with and what I'm sharing with you and what I know that works. So, in developing wisdom, it helps if we study the great wisdom works to help awaken our intuition. Intuition, as you may recall, is this deep inner knowing. It's the voice of our soul. And it develops as we quiet down, as we connect with wisdom communicated to us by God-realized beings. And what you see on the screen are 2 books by Paramahansa Yogananda, one providing great illumination on the Bhagavad Gita and the other one on the Christian Bible. These are 2 absolutely marvelous books when it comes to the clarity of communication, the extensiveness of which Yogananda shares the great wisdom that's available in these texts. And these greatest wisdom texts are broadly available with deep insights, as I said, and extensive excerpts are available in the Wisdom Inspired Life podcast. So if you really want to get a sense of what's in these two books, on Saturday, I'm releasing podcasts on the Second Coming of Christ, and on Sunday, there's a podcast released on the Bhagavad Gita. And if you go back into the Wisdom Inspired Life podcast, you'll also find a lot of other quotes from very, very wise beings, including people like His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Okay? So accessing and developing your wisdom, not knowledge, not theory, but really being able to get it, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in just a moment. Here's how you can, and I use these words carefully, absorb wisdom. This is how I attempt to absorb wisdom when I'm reading these great texts. First, read, or if you're listening to a podcast, listen in small quantities and small bits. Every morning I'll read 1 or 2 pages right now from either the Bhagavad Gita or the Christian Bible series. 1 or 2 pages. Read it slowly, or listen to 1 or 2 15-minute podcasts. The key thing here is getting small, bite-sized, digestible chunks of wisdom, if I can put it that way for you. And after you've read it, reflect on it. Feel it. Get it. Don't just read it to complete it. Get it. Okay? Relate it to your life. Okay? And you want to be able to get it to such an extent that if you needed to, and someone said, "Hey, what are you reading?" that you could actually teach these 1 or 2 pages or a few minutes that you just listened to. That's the depth to which you want to get it. And that's why it takes me anywhere from 14 to 18 months to read like the Bhagavad Gita. And after I'm completed, I go back and start all over again. And I've been through that many, many times. Okay? So, key there from my experience. Then you want to practice living guided by wisdom. In my case, I do this with a host of daily affirmations, things I want to improve about myself in my life. I say it with clarity, I say it with focus, I say it with conviction. And I take a look at if there are any specific objectives or events in my coming day that I can use some of these daily affirmations. Reflect and learn, and then do again, and then the next day, and the next day. This is a continuous improvement process, okay? Not a once a week, continuous improvement process. This does not happen overnight, at least in my experience, okay? It takes that sort of commitment. Speaking of commitment, is what Abraham Lincoln said, commitment is what transforms a promise into reality. Slow, steady, deep progress. And progress is in many ways measured in joy and deep inner confidence. You're really getting it. You're really able to start living it. To be clear, this is not always easy. But at the end of it, it ultimately is easy and almost effortless. You've had an earlier episode on the 7 spiritual laws of success from Deepak Chopra. There's a lot of perspective on that particular element in that episode that you may want to revisit. Okay? At the end of the day, commitment, for me, has translated into a lifelong commitment. Okay? I knew that early on. Somehow I just knew it, and I've continued on it. Well, as always, if you want to know more about what's happening on Wisdom Inspired Life, you can go to the website, mywisdominspiredlife.com. You can listen to the podcasts there. You can also listen to them all the places podcasts are, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, all those places, Google Play, all that. You can also listen to the Wisdom Inspired Life podcast there. And there's more information about the books that I've written and who the heck I am on that particular website, if you are so interested. Well, as you know by now, I'm inspired with a mission on a journey. I greatly appreciate you participating in that journey with me today, and I look forward to continuing that journey with you.